She asked me to ready something for Transmat from the tower's security vault. And I agreed. Everything is on the line. Asa, the Vanguard, the fate of the Sol System and beyond. Empower her, Guardian. Give Eris the strength she needs to reshape the entire Hive Pantheon. And then, all we need to do is get out of her way. This is it, Guardian. Eris is ready for the final tithing ritual. This is our last and best opportunity to deal a real blow to Xivu Arath. I know this may seem like a long shot, but we have to trust in Eris. She made herself for this moment. You both did.
It's been fun watching you play, Hive, but this has gotten out of hand. You activate the oubliette again, and Xivu's goons are gonna go full Tora bottle on this place.
You lack imagination, underling. You shall soon witness the consequences of your master's apostasy.
Oh no! Xivu's calling up the Leviathan Eater. He's been around since Fundament. A real heavy hitter. I'm getting out of here, and you should too. Stick around and you'll end up a grease stain.
You will go nowhere. This is the culmination of the bargain you proposed. You will witness our triumph, or perish as one of us. Rejoice, worshipper! You have sounded the horn of battle, and war has arrived! Go forth, eater of Leviathans, scourge of the sky! Raise my sister's court, and tithe the ashes to thy god. of Eris Morn. Lie unto me for the last time, Acolyte. I out.
Eris, I've arranged the transmat, but once she's here, we'll lose containment. We can't go back on this one.
One last atrocity.
This wasn't the agreement. Xivu is still a threat.
Do it. You will not have another chance.
Eris Morn. Finally out of her shell. It looks good on you, honey.
I am your ruin.
Savathun has not been killed by a hive since she lost her worm. Stored eons of potent lies and deceit.
All Savathun's power, plus the tithes of the Guardians.
Eris Morn is the strongest hive there has ever been.
Hear me, dead things. I let this moment pass unnamed, without song. This is the rejection of your sad legacy. Xivu Araf, agitator, fomenter, what a world cyst you have built from your conquests. No more. Now and forever, you are banished. Hayat.
Good to be working together again.
Guardian, it is done. When I killed Savathun, I claimed her eons of stored power. For a moment, I surpassed even Xivu Arath herself. The macabre gifts of the Hive awaited, a pitted plain of open graves. It was magnificent. I rejected them all. Instead of challenging Xivu Arath, I severed her connection to her throne world. She is mortal now, wherever she may be. Mortal and furious. Refusing conflict split my ritual's foul call. Her tithes drained from me, and now here I stand. A woman who was briefly a god. Ikora tells me Imaru resurrected Savathun. She fled, but left Imaru here, as my ward. An irksome peace offering, for me to destroy if Savathun moves against us. But I am weary of destruction. You may continue to explore Savathun's throne world, as the Queen of Lies is never to be fully trusted. But for now, I would like only tea. Tea and silence.
Mission report number 472.622.3. Regarding our ongoing attempts to breach the extra-spatial portal within the Traveler, I'm relieved to report that Eris's risky plan worked. Her final ritual banished Xivu Arath from her own throne world. The Hive God of War is vulnerable for the first time in millennia. When the time comes, we can finally force a decisive engagement against her. But first, we have to deal with the Witness. To that end, it seems the Witch Queen held up her end of the bargain. I didn't want to let her go, but Savathun offered some enticing collateral. She left Imaru in Vanguard custody. He's an odious little wretch, but an important one. As long as we control the Witch Queen's connection to the light, she'll think twice before crossing us. It went against my every instinct to let Savathun squirm away again. But we need to keep our attention on that portal. She gave us the secret to breaching it. Now, we just need to discover what form it's taken. For now, Asa is back in hibernation, and Eris is recovering. More than that, she's thriving. I was worried that Eris's obsession with the Hive would overwhelm her. But she's carrying herself with an air of confidence I haven't seen in a century. And I'm just glad to see her happy.
Okay, so Guardians, let's basically talk about some things. In regards to this story and how it ended this season, it was pretty predictable, and even the plot was pretty predictable. In addition to, it wasn't climactic, and there really wasn't any like repercussions for helping Eris with the Tives. I just think it was missing that drive home plot twist. Because throughout the season, Ikora is requesting we remain confident in Eris's abilities and her state of mind and motives. It just seems like between Ikora and then Elsie Bray informing us in one of the timelines that Eris becomes too powerful, bloodlust on vengeance, and she wrecks the soul system and all their occupants, this season, in my opinion, fell flat. What should have happened and what I think would have been a better outcome versus this predictable state where with the exception of Season Seraph, where you can kind of see the narrative, you can see the non-playable characters, including Sloane last season, where they lead up to they may die or they may leave the Guardians in some capacity or assume a different role, but that wasn't the case with Eris. So, so basically, like, looking up in that aspect, that I think it's a time for, Bungie to kind of step out of their comfort zone. And this is what I kind of propose, and this is what I would have seen, what I would like to seen with the story itself. Because leading up to the season finale and the final cutscenes, the narrative and plot tied in well. I really liked the boss fight with the Leviathan because he was like the big baddie, and he actually was pretty good as far as like level of degree of difficulty. But we really need to, as like a community, is understand that there's like hundreds to thousands of chapters in the lore books at our disposal, and I just don't think we're using that properly to make like a good developing storyline for seasons. And maybe, what's to come with the Final Shape and ultimately with the Vex storyline after Final Shape, that those plot twists and that decision making may change, but I just kind of wish that it would have played out differently this season. So here's my take on what should have happened before the final mission and throughout the final mission. So Ikora and Elsie, the stranger, have important messages and both bring up valid arguments on Eris's current status as a hive god and concerns or praises for her current efforts to become stronger than Xivu Arath. The stage is set, Guardians, and in the back of the mind, the Guardian is tasked with a decision to make, to either keep Eris alive or end her once Xivu Arath is made mortal again. In the ending fight with the Leviathan Killer Night Boss, once you kill the Leviathan Killer and the Fundant Night, once the boss is destroyed, then basically keep the same exit part where Eris is one of the strongest hive, and kind of like embellish or really emphasize on like how strong Eris is as a result of receiving the ties brought to her by the Guardian. Then ultimately at that point, go back to the current cutscene with Savathun. I think that cutscene was great. I mean, once Savathun's power is harnessed and Xivu Arath is mortal again, then this is where there should have been like some player choice aspect, kind of like saving Crow or killing Crow in the Forsaken that was kind of missed. Just have Eris set up through her actions and response. I would love to see a first ever Guardian to another Guardian boss fight. And I think that they missed the point, and if it was in my opinion, I think that Elsie's timeline for Eris would be more instrumental and more like a better plot twist than what was given to us in this timeline. So basically, at that point, make it seem like Elsie's timeline, when the Guardian to the Guardian is going to face off in that room where you had Leviathan, just basically like lead up to that Guardian fight. That make it seem like Elsie's timelines for Eris are accurate, and that we could be in the current timeline, allude to it, but basically don't really come out and say that we're in Elsie's timeline. Allow Eris to become more and more powerful before that Guardian to Guardian boss fight, and help. The Guardian's job is to help Eris in that bloodlust for the vengeance. So the Guardian once the stage is set, they're in the boss room. Throughout the fight, have like basically have like three phases, like you did with Leviathan with Eris in the Hive God form, Alkalite Hive God form. Uh, have Ikora and Elsie weigh in and give like insight and kind of coach the Guardian on what their decision should be, whether or not Eris lives or not. And throughout the boss fight, I think it would have been great that we would have seen Eris like be able to wield the Lucent Hive wizards, acolytes, and knights um, powers and their supers. But I think that there was a missed opportunity because Eris is like the original OG uh, Guardian for that was basically experimented through the Hive as a success through the Hive. She's as close to a Hive Guardian that we've ever seen before. So it would have been great to see like what that looks like with um, having her have her own Hive God of Vengeance, like supers and powers, and like exhibit more of a new, possibly even like a subclass. That would have been a great opportunity. So ultimately, fast forward, and once you're done with the boss fight for Eris, it would have been nice to see that like the Acolyte Scepter, especially the season artifact, like either you break Eris's Hive God state, or you save Eris, or you end Seraph's in Eris. It would have been nice to see like the Guardian actually smash the seasonal artifact, and kind of like what repercussions are as a result of that, or if like you have to get a new artifact from Eris, um, and then kind of lead up to ultimately at the end, like lead up to like what your decision was to either leave Eris alive or kill her in her current hive state, or even keep her in her hive state, her hive god state would have been great. Then that plays a factor leading up to the final shape. Uh, So that's my thoughts on it. I mean, eventually it would be great to see, because this there was a blown opportunity with this season finale to see basically like a lead up point, like uh, that had like weight and had like, you know, creativity, where we're leading up to the Traveler. So basically, based on the Guardian's decision, you know, Eris would, uh, in the battle impact, whether or not you kept her alive or you killed her or you kept her in her hive god state, I think that it would be like poetic that Savathun comes back to the Traveler. They She opens up the Traveler for us, and then the opening scene is for the Guardian would, you know, Savathun join us based on our decision making and our actions, or not enter the Traveler and have like uh lasting repercussions if she doesn't enter the Traveler, or like give a Guardian advantage trying to fight the Witness and his new generals that wield Strand um in the darkness. In your fight to basically like beat the Witness. But I think it honestly, like the cutscene too would, you know, definitely pan out, and it actually would make sense that Eris, the fate of Eris, really, either way you go, Ikora still enters the Traveler prior to the Guardian and has a meaningful conversation with her emotions running heavy, with talking to Cade 6. That part, like, throughout the seasons and ever since Cade 6 death, the Vanguard have like really, it has weighed heavy on Cade 6, and a lot of like their decision making is in question, or like they even questions oneself of like what are their motives, like what are they seeking as the end game for a final shape. And it would be great to see Ikora and Cade 6 come to a decision that they have to work both together to beat the Witness along with the Guardian and the NPCs that sided with the Guardian, depending on if the Hive God Eris remained in her current state, if Eris was back to normal and a Guardian again, or that Eris was killed in that first ever Guardian to Guardian boss fight. That's just my take. I don't know what anybody else's thoughts are when you're watching this video, and I really do appreciate you coming to hear what I have to say, and hopefully like maybe you can even elaborate on the plot twist. So leave this in the comments below or in the chat, and I'd be happy to respond to you. As always, thank you for watching my videos, and I will see you later.